Anthony Henry, and welcome to America's Ass. This is episode 1. If you're watching, I probably told you to watch because we haven't done anything yet. And so I'm Anthony Henry, host. Politics, news, that's pretty much all I do. I just sit at home, keep track of this stuff. I don't have much of a life. But anyway, this is my co-host Brady Miller. You want to tell him about yourself?
Hello. I may not have like the best opinions in politics since I don't pay much attention to them, but like if there's anything interesting, like the TikTok thing, I'm gonna pay attention to it since I use TikTok. And yeah.
We will be discussing the TikTok hearing during this. We will also be discussing the recent Nashville shooting and its implications on media. And yeah, going right into the notes. Oh, and Brady is also the show's editor. So that's another thing. All right, getting right into this. Nashville shooting. This happened just a couple days ago. 6 people. I believe it was 6 people.
Wasn't it like 3 kids, 3 teachers?
Yeah, I believe it was 3 kids and 3 teachers at a Christian school in Nashville, Tennessee. They were shot by a shooter. This is not the first time we've seen this over the course of the year. Yeah, I think it's a crisis. I don't think it's a crisis the way many people view it, and we're going to get into that. But it is a crisis nonetheless. And we're going to start right out with it. The shooter, I believe the shooter's name was Audrey something. Might have been Audrey Hall. Do you remember?
Nope.
Okay. So, yeah, the shooter was a trans person that stated that they were stumbling. They were choosing between a couple schools to shoot up, and they were targeting Christian people. And recently we've seen an alarming amount of targeting of the Christian population by the trans population. So let me read the audience a couple examples of some things I've seen. So a activist that goes by the name Pinko Scum, I don't know, weird names, said that trans groups need to push aggressive rhetoric, and there's a video of Pinko Scum loading an AR-15 on camera, just on video. Brady?
Yeah?
What are your thoughts?
I don't know why like people like do this like type of stuff. Like, I don't even know why they record themselves like loading that type of stuff. It shouldn't be like allowed anywhere on the internet.
Well, I'll have to disagree with you there, Brady. I think it should be allowed, but I just...
some stuff like gun safety.
Yeah, and I think shooting, like for fun, that can be allowed too.
Yeah.
But I think promoting something aggressive like that, like saying we need to be more aggressive toward people, that's not right. And another quote said by an unnamed activist, I couldn't find the name, and this is an exact quote, and listen to this, people. Kill Christ cucks, behead Christ cucks, crucify filthy Christ cucks, slam dunk a Christ cuck into a trash can. This is the kind of thing that we're dealing with. And then they wonder why things like this are happening. This shooting crisis in America, in my opinion, it's not a gun problem, it's a mental health problem. It's not just trans people. Think about what happened in Uvalde. It's a mental health crisis. All these shooters have mental health issues, and they're not getting proper treatment. And I think when we sell guns to people, I don't support red flag laws per se, but I do think that we need mental fitness checks. We need to make sure these people are sane before they buy a firearm. And Brady, what are your thoughts?
They really didn't. They need to do like more checks on the people, just to not do whatever. Definitely have not bought a gun before, but like I'm not sure what they do. They require you, like I don't know, they do any test before you buy one. So you're like if you're doing okay with mental health. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a BB gun that was given to me out of nowhere by a friend. I was walking out of his house and he's like, "Hey, here's a BB gun." I'm like, "Okay." Took me forever to learn how to use it, and that's another thing. I think we need more gun safety. We need to teach people how to use these guns safely. And as for safety, I think we need more security guards at school, or resource officers, however you want to say it. And I know that they did this in Florida like a year or two back. I think we need to possibly arm teachers. Well, not open carry per se, but have them in, like, I don't know, a cabinet in their desk. I think that safety should be important in school. Like, all these shootings are happening because, in addition to the mental health crisis, because these schools are just open. Like the Uvalde one last year, the door was open. Shooter just walked in. And as I mentioned earlier in this episode, the shooter in this shooting was looking between a couple different schools, and this school was chosen because it was less safe. They saw less security. Security is important.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's pretty much all we have on that. I do know that the shooter was taken down within 15 minutes of the shooting happening, which is pretty damn good. Kudos to those police officers that took the shooter down. We need plenty of heroes, and I hope they get honored in some way. Okay, we're done with that. Moving on to the next topic. We're going to be spending a lot of time on this topic because, again, I probably told you to watch this episode, so you're probably a teenager. The TikTok hearing in Congress last week, and they will soon be voting on whether or not TikTok will be banned. Now, where we live in Derry, New Hampshire, we are in Rockingham County. The Rockingham County Commission recently passed a bill within the Rockingham County Commission to ban TikTok on government devices. So, Brady, what are your thoughts on that?
I think they should ban it on the government devices, since if there really is like Chinese spyware on there, then important documents are going to be like leaked. Like important US documents are going to be on the devices, most likely. And we don't want that going out to the Chinese government.
Yeah. Do you have TikTok, Brady?
I do have TikTok. I don't use it as much as I used to, since it hasn't become like the best app recently.
Yeah. Yeah. Most people won't believe this, but I have actually never had TikTok. I don't know, never saw the need to have it. I've always found it annoying, and I think the people that use it too much are annoying. Like, some people just scroll through it constantly and they end up jackasses. We know plenty of people at our school that are like that.
Yep.
Yeah,
I could be like talking to people, then all they would do, and I'll be just trying to talk to them, then they'll be like, scrolling through TikTok.
Yeah, yeah, and in addition to it being a safety issue, like I said, mental health crisis. These teenagers, all they can think about is social media. And with TikTok being a important app on social media, a lot of them use it. And I think it's contributing. So anyway, on to the hearing. So CEO, I think it's Shu Chu. Is that how we pronounced it?
I might be. I know they call him like Mr. Chu.
Yeah,
right?
I know they called him Mr. Chu. I don't know how to say his first name. It's S-H-O-U. I'm just going to say Shu. Email me if I'm wrong. So, in his opening statement, I don't know if it was his opening statement, but in a statement during the hearing, he said that teenager safety is a top priority. That was number one. So on that, I don't think it's safe, personally. Brady?
Are you saying it's like TikTok's not safe?
Yeah. One of his priorities was that teenager safety is important.
Well,
Would you say that it's safe?
depends, because we don't know if there is truly like anything on there like putting our data like out to like the Chinese government or anything. So
Yeah.
we truly don't know if it's truly safe or not.
Yeah, and in addition to China, there's a lot of like drug trafficking and sex trafficking that's happening with TikTok. And America's teenagers are being exposed to that. Some of them are falling victim. Some of you may know this, but fentanyl is becoming one of the leading causes in death among young Americans. And a lot of the drug trafficking happens through social media. There's countless cases of people our age that are dying of fentanyl, and they end up getting it on TikTok and overdosing. So teenage safety, I don't think that's happening. Firewall to protect the U.S. We'll get into that later. I don't think there's much of that, because there wouldn't have been this hearing if there was, because there's Chinese safety issues. And another thing Shu Chu said, his third priority, was that TikTok will remain a place for free expression. Definitely not happening across all social media. There has been countless, insane amounts of censorship happening for a variety of reasons. Political, social, religious. Not TikTok, but on Instagram. I'm on my third account. I've been deleted twice. I don't know why. They just say, I don't know what they said. I've been deleted twice. I was at like 70 followers the first time. Second time I was at 1,000. They just delete me. So
He said nothing wrong on there. Just posting his opinions.
yeah,
His account got banned.
permanently. I had to create a whole new email and stuff to make a new account. It was crazy. So free expression, not happening on TikTok, but to be fair, that's not happening anywhere on social media, whether it's a Chinese company or an American company. So we need more freedom of speech on social media without repercussions. And another thing that Shu Chu said was transparent access to third-party people. And I think we're going to cover that more when we get to what some of the Congress members said. Excuse me, I do that. I stumble a lot, so please forgive me if I'm stumbling a lot. But yeah, we'll get into that. So, Brady, where do you think we should start? Because there was a lot in that hearing. We basically looked at the most important questions, the most ridiculous questions, the funniest questions, the questions where it was obvious that these Congress people had no idea what they were talking about. And believe me, there's a lot. So, yeah, we got 2 pages worth. Where do you think we should start, Brady?
There's some good ones in there.
Yeah.
Maybe we should start with the Wi-Fi one.
Yeah, that's probably the one most of you have heard. So, Congressman Rich Hudson of North Carolina, a Republican, asked the CEO of TikTok, does TikTok access home Wi-Fi connection? I don't even think we need to explain that one. If you're using your phone, there's probably a 95% chance you're using Wi-Fi. And if you're using TikTok, definitely using Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and he's not even an old Congress member. I think he's in his early 50s. So, just shows the, like, total, what's the word? Ignorance that some of these people have. Like, personally, I think that TikTok probably should be banned. But if you're going to argue that it should be banned, or if you're going to argue anything really, you got to know what you're talking about. You got to research. You got to, I don't know, have notes. You got to have, like, if I was going to ask a question, I'd have a list of possible answers from research and see what would come up. That's just me, though. And Shu Chu's answer to that question, we're going to go with Shu Chu, I guess. It was basically, we have to connect to the internet, because it's an app.
Or if you don't have internet, you can open it, but won't load.
Yeah, that's how Wi-Fi works. Research Wi-Fi, Congressman Hudson. All right, should we go to Buddy Carter next?
Oh, sure.
All right, Congressman Buddy Carter of the state of Georgia, a Republican. I couldn't even figure out what this guy was trying to ask. like, me and Brady spent a good 10 minutes.
Just pressing like going back 20 seconds
Yeah,
to watch the full
we'd go
clip.
back, rewatch. We couldn't figure out what he was trying to ask. Something like I wrote down a bunch of words in hopes that maybe people will know what I'm talking about, what he was talking about. He basically asked something about the camera storing data that elicits a pupil dilation and amplifying it within the algorithm. I think what Shu Chu thought he was talking about was filters.
Yeah, like how it can how like the camera collects some data for your face so it can see like where the eyes, mouth, and stuff are, so it can
Yeah, for when
use the
you're using-
filters.
Yeah, for when you're using a filter. Like the example Shu Chu used was sunglasses. They'd have to know where your eyes are so they could put sunglasses on you digitally. And they delete that data afterward. So, yeah, another oopsie by a Congress member that didn't research what TikTok is. Clearly that member, Congressman Carter, did not have grandchildren. Okay, so I guess I'll move on to Neil Dunn from Florida, Republican. He asked a pretty important question, one that was definitely going through my mind. Has ByteDance, which is the parent company to TikTok, if you don't know, and they're headquartered in China, based in China, has ByteDance spied on Americans at CCP direction? Oh, and just keep in mind, we're not, like, when I say what the Congress people asked, I'm paraphrasing a lot of their questions, so if you want to go back and see the full question, I'm like taking out a couple words just for, shorthand's sake. Feel free, go look. Email me if I get anything wrong. I want to be fact-checked, people. So, yeah, like I said, Neil Dunn asked, has ByteDance spied on Americans at CCP direction? And Shu Chu gave a pretty suspicious answer. Spying isn't how to describe it. What are your thoughts, Brady?
What do you mean isn't how to describe it?
Well, that's what he said. It's a very open-ended answer. It leaves a lot of room for mystery.
Yeah.
Because we don't really know what he could have possibly meant. Because spying isn't how to describe it. That's what he said. That suggests that they were collecting something. If he said that wasn't how to describe it. So, TikTok's collecting stuff, and when you get something and it has a terms of services, read it. It's probably going to be like 50 pages, but like skim through it, make sure you're not selling your soul to the devil before you hit that check. Got to make sure what you're doing, people. Okay, so where should I go next? Dan Crenshaw, Republican from Texas. If the government, this is his question, if the government asked ByteDance to hand over data, would TikTok do so according to Chinese law? And he answered, the CEO answered that he's Singaporean, which didn't really matter,
Yeah.
because it was a question about Chinese law. Almost dropped my paper. And he said that this data is out of reach from Chinese influence, and that it is stored in America, on American soil, by American companies, and monitored by American people. Thoughts?
Is it truly stored here?
Probably something. It's probably something stored here, but like I said earlier, if it wasn't an issue, it wouldn't be brought up. China's doing something, and I think they should investigate it more personally. To do much more investigating to see what influence China has exactly before we ban it outright. I know it's banned on government devices, which I totally agree with. But before we ban it for the entire population, we should research, investigate, see what's going on.
Maybe they should go send somebody to like whatever that company's name is, headquarters.
ByteDance?
Yeah, to the headquarters, see
Yeah.
like anything goes on there.
Well, then again, ByteDance is owned by the CCP. CCP owns pretty much the entirety of China. They own just about every company within China, pretty much everyone in China. And I don't think we'll be getting much from them, because it's China, and Xi Jinping does not like America.
Yeah.
Spy balloons. Remember that? Okay. Moving on, I think I will next go with Gus Bilirakis, another Republican from Florida. He asked a yes or no question, and he really stressed yes or no, because he didn't really let Mr. Chu answer. Are you responsible for prioritizing content? And this circles back to the third priority that Mr. Chu had. TikTok will remain a place for free expression. And Mr. Chu couldn't really answer that.
Because he would always get interrupted saying, "Sir, yes or no?"
Yeah. And when he tried answering, he seemed to not even be bringing that up, which is why Congressman Bilirakis was getting so mad. So, yeah, another example of big tech being shaky on censorship. Okay, and another quick point, Congressman Kat Kamek, Republican from Florida, brought up that the CCP, a secretary for the CCP, worked for ByteDance, and they were Mr. Chu's boss, and Mr. Chu denied this. And I think it'll be really interesting if they do an investigation, and if ByteDance even lets anything come out in that investigation, or CCP, I should say. They own ByteDance. Is Mr. Chu's boss, in fact, a secretary for the CCP? I think it's possible.
Could be.
Yeah, can never know. All right, on to Congresswoman Debbie Lesko, not Lexo, Lesko, from Arizona, Republican. Do you agree that the Chinese government has persecuted the Uyghur population? So, for those of you who don't know, the Uyghurs are they're a people in China that are being enslaved, and they basically work in the sweatshops, like Nike. If you're wearing Nike, that was made by the Uyghurs, most likely. And they're getting paid little to nothing. There's a lot of celebrities that are being active in getting the Uyghurs freed, like Enes Kanter Freedom, I should say, because he changed his name for it. He plays for the Celtics, plays. I'm not a Celtics fan, I'm a Milwaukee Bucks fan.
I'm a Celtics fan, but I don't watch it.
You're a Bruins fan?
Yeah.
So, yeah, Congresswoman Lesko asked that, and given this wasn't really a Uyghur thing, he was shaky on it, and I can accept that because it wasn't a hearing on the Uyghurs, but he said all sorts of people use TikTok and explained that it had nothing to do with TikTok, which he was right doing.
Yep.
There was a lot of cases where even Congress people that I 9 times out of 10 agree with, there was that 1 out of 10, and they just acted like total dunderheads because they don't know anything about tech, because most of them are old. And who else do we still have on this infinite notes of people? Bill Johnson. So he asked what percentage of code is the same as Douyin. So Douyin is basically a Chinese version of TikTok that's fully China. And I believe he said that Mr. Chu said no.
I think so.
Did he say no?
I think he might have said there's like little.
We could be totally wrong about that, and like I said, my email's going to pop up at some point in this episode, so just email me if I'm wrong. But it was either nothing to do with it or exact copy, because I know Douyin's basically the Chinese counterpart. And then, where was this source code developed? And Mr. Chu answered that it was a global effort. Congressman Bill Johnson from Ohio, who asked the question, Republican, when he doubled down asking if it was a global effort, Mr. Chu reiterated global effort. And continuing with Bill Johnson, he asked, can bytecode be manipulated? And Mr. Chu said that, and going back to Mr. Chu's fourth thing in his statements, there are third parties that check whether there is content manipulation. So, who else do we got? I think we might be done with... Oh, we got a couple more. So that was all Republicans. There was a couple Democrats that asked interesting things. Starting with Darren Soto, Democrat from Florida. Would TikTok be prepared to divest from ByteDance and CCP ties? And Mr. Chu answered, Chinese companies are not the issue, American companies are. Again, that's paraphrasing. He pointed out that Facebook is doing worse than TikTok is, and I probably agree with that. Would you?
Yeah, I've heard some things about like Facebook taking like a bunch of your data.
Yeah. And Facebook is basically a conglomerate now. Meta, they go by Meta. They also own Instagram. So I wouldn't argue with Mr. Chu there, but I think all big tech needs to be regulated. Start with China, because they're foreign. Once we get stumbling, once we're done with the foreign companies, we got to start regulating within our country. And lastly, Congresswoman Anna Eshoo from California, she stated, wasn't really a question, the CCP has data from people. She stated it. Mr. Chu answered that there is no evidence that they have this data. What do you think?
Does he have any evidence that?
I didn't hear him give any.
Yeah.
Did you hear him give any?
Didn't hear him say that they don't have any data.
You didn't really hear him giving much evidence to back up any of his claims, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Anna Eshoo noticed that, and she said, I find this preposterous. I think that might have been our first exact quote. And again, just because we're paraphrasing doesn't mean we're necessarily getting these quotes wrong. We're just writing this in a room so we get a shorthand for our notes. Keep in mind, we're 15. We're not experts. I'm probably getting stuff wrong. And like I said, if I am, email me. I love being fact-checked. I want to make sure I'm getting stuff like this correct. So, yeah, that pretty much concludes our first episode. Brady, what do you got for thoughts?
Nothing much.
Yeah, so in the future we are going to be having guests. I have quite a few guests I have in mind for the show. Brady's basically the guest because, you know, we want to see what it's like with another person besides me.
And I'm also the co-host.
Yeah, he's also our editor. So, yeah, sure you don't got anything else?
Nope.
Okay, well, in that case, I will see everyone next time. I'm Anthony Henry. This has been America's Ass. Thank you for watching.